Looks like we are live on the face. Welcome back, Lab Coat Agents, and all of you that are live with us in Zoom. I am Jeff Pfitzer, and I'm coming to you live from the Lake of the Ozarks. I'm sure some of you have an opinion about the Ozarks after watching Ozark on Netflix, and it's not what the show portrays, but I'll let you believe what you want. We are back with Nick Niehaus, the founder and the head trainer of Business Video School, to bring us back on a lot more video nuggets, some video knowledge, some video mastery. Today, we are going to talk about increasing your engagement with your SOI using video. And I think, Nick, before we get started, I want to mention that when people think of video, I think people think, you know, creating a viral video and doing parodies and TikTok now and all this stuff, which is fun. Don't get me wrong, because I'm a big proponent and I have a lot of fun. But arguably, the most important piece of video is engaging your SOI via text, via email, through social media. And we are going to go deep on that today, so where you can increase your engagement, because that's the whole point of doing video, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Nick, welcome back, and let's give these guys some juicy knowledge to take back to their business.
Of course, yeah, we got some good stuff today. This is round 2 this week, so second time we're getting together in lab coats. So it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, the point you just brought up, ironically, is kind of my first slide here, which is a good lead in. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I think that's a really important thing to think about here, is that, you know, video is so often seen as this kind of high-level, complex communication tool that's mostly meant for marketing. And I think that is part of the picture, but yeah, there's a lot more to it, and people are very much overcomplicating it. So thinking in terms of, oh, I need to make a viral video, or I need to be really funny, or that kind of thing, I think puts a lot of pressure on folks, when the truth is we just need to be talking to each other through video cameras now, because it's so impactful. So I want to talk about I always like weaving in little bits of psychology into these presentations, because I think it's really interesting. And so there's an effect in psychology called the mere exposure effect. It's also referred to sometimes as the familiarity principle. And this is essentially kind of the core of why you need to be, kind of transitioning to using video to stay top of mind with your sphere of influence. Because basically this familiarity principle states that, you know, it's the phenomena by which people tend to develop a preference for the people and the things that they merely are familiar with, right? So, I mean, think about I like to think of billboards as a good example of this. If you see the name of a company, or you see somebody's face on a billboard over and over and over again, without even realizing it, you're going to start to know, like, and trust that person. And that's just from seeing a picture of them. So there's probably, I think this is one of those that, we like to think that we very carefully select the people that we're friends with, and some of us do, some don't. But if you think back to college, if you went to college or high school or those sorts of things, you tend to end up friends with the people you see the most often, right? I mean, I think about freshman year in college and how everybody ends up being good friends with people from their floor and their dorm. It's like very common, you know? And it's basically because of this principle. The people that we're most familiar with, we feel the most comfortable and safe around. And it's basically part of evolution, right? I mean, that was like a matter of safety, 10,000 years ago, right? If you didn't recognize another human, you didn't know what they were up to, and you didn't know if you could trust them. So what that means is that it's your job with your sphere to not only consistently stay in touch with them, but to stay in touch with them in the most personalized, the most meaningful, the most significant way possible. And we've talked about this in previous presentations. You know, video is a much better example of that, because you're able to see the full communication spectrum. When you see a video of somebody, you basically feel like you're having a little conversation with them. And so if you combine that power, that kind of level of communication with this familiarity principle, if you show up on video in front of your sphere, they're going to feel like they're having these mini conversations with you over and over and over again, and they're going to stay super, super engaged. And so that's what we're going to basically talk about today, is how do you do that? And we're going to give you like 4 or 5 different kind of different angles or different approaches to it. So,
Nick, Nick, Grant Cardone says, people give in to the people they see the most.
Right.
And so if that is the most simplest way to put it, and it matters, and this is exactly why we continue to cram video out as a very, very popular topic.
Yeah, I mean, think about the difference, because this is, it's easy to talk about the psychology and stuff because I like it and it's interesting, but it's really simpler than that. I mean, just think about if you wrote a 3-paragraph text-based post and you put it up on Facebook versus you put out a video of yourself saying that exact word for word 3 paragraphs, and someone sees the video or they see the text, like which one do you think they're going to remember a week or two later? It's really kind of that simple, So it's just a matter of like, it just has that much more impact. So yeah, you show up the most often, but you also show up in a much more impactful way. And there's basically kind of 2 versions of this, right? So there's mass communication, which we're going to talk about first. And that's your social media, that's your email blasts, your newsletters, the stuff where you're kind of getting out there in front of lots of your sphere, basically the whole thing at once. And then there's personalized video. And I think that's a huge opportunity that I'm not seeing that many people utilize. And when I do see it, it really stands out to me. So I want to talk about both of those kind of quickly here. So personalized, it's going to be when you communicate through video with one person or maybe a very small group of people. So examples of things like that might be, one of my favorites is sending a personalized birthday video to someone, right? So we're seeing these posts on our walls. A lot of people get, dozens, if not hundreds of posts on their social media accounts for their birthday. How many of those are video messages, right? Like talk about a way to make an impactful or have an impact on somebody. They're having their birthday, they get a custom video message of you singing happy birthday or just waving and saying happy birthday for 5 seconds. Like they will remember that. That's going to stand out to them, right? You can respond to questions with video. So some of the tools I'll show you in the later part of the presentation are really great for that. You get somebody who's asking you a question, you respond with a video message. Again, number one, they're going to understand it better because we retain information through video a lot better than other forms of communication, but it also just feels that much more important, right? It feels like you took more time to talk to them. It feels a lot more personalized to them. So there's lots of examples of things you can do where you're talking one-on-one with people. So that's kind of the one side, is this personalized, granular, one-to-one type communication, which because of things like the what's going on right now, we're all stuck at home, we're communicating through Zoom a lot more. People are getting used to this personalized video communication and they're going to start expecting more of it. And that includes the people in your sphere. And then the other side of the coin, the first thing we'll talk about next, is mass communication, right? So using tools where you have 500, maybe a couple thousand connections that you can put content in front of on a regular basis, right? So examples of those kinds of videos might be making videos about your community, news. Local news is a great topic for videos. Upcoming events, just what is it that's going on in the neighborhoods you serve or in the communities where your sphere is based, right? You can turn your frequently asked questions into video answers. That's a great way to respond when clients have questions, right? But those are also good pieces of content to put out there in front of your entire sphere. And that's going to be the kind of thing where you're demonstrating your expertise, but you're not necessarily being promotional. You're just answering questions that you get frequently, very good type of content to put out. And then obviously there's the part we kind of mentioned at the beginning, which is the more fun or educational type stuff, the stuff that's a little bit more of your traditional social media content. And again, you don't need to be talking about business. I mean, if you put things out, especially if you put it out through your business page, people are seeing the name of your business. They see what you do for a living. They know that part already. So anything else you do is going to also help remind them that you're there to serve them, if it comes to real estate or whatever it is you do for a living. So I want to first.
Hey, Nick, if I can real quick too, on that last slide, if there's one thing that I can say to everyone, when I started doing video 4 or 5 years ago, one of the things I did, I remember it was 2016. I made it a year to say, everybody's, and this is even 2016. So we're talking a few years ago. Everybody sends birthday messages the same way. It's a phone call, it's a text, or it's a post on their Facebook page, right? And I said, you know what? I'm going to stand out. I'm going to be different. And I would just video myself on my camera. I would do a little edit in iMovie, put a little bit of text, making it personal to them, and I would text it to them. And just that little gesture had a massive impact on my SOI, on the people that were the closest to me, my referral partners, my family, my friends, my employees, those kind of things. And if everybody just did something little like that, which is one-to-one video, it's going to have such a massive impact on your business. You'll never look back. It's an absolute game changer. And Mike Cuevas says it. He said it in the comments. Farm your database. That's the thing that so many people, you're like you said, Nick, everybody looks at video and they're intimidated because they're like, oh man, I can't sing. I can't dance. Right. I'm not creative. Well, if you just create video content to your database, that will be massive, and it's more one-to-one, which is less intimidating. That's all you have to do, and that's what we're trying to get across today.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, it's a much more comfortable place to get started with video, I think, for a lot of people. So think of it that way, as opposed to this mass communication stuff. So it's actually kind of why I wanted to end with the more personalized stuff, because I think it's the stuff you could go apply kind of right away. But first, let's talk about the social stuff. I mean, it obviously is a significant component of your business. So Jeff, I mean, this is actually one where I'd love to get your input on this, just because I think you do a really, really awesome job of this. The key is, like, you don't want to just be talking about your business for one. And then, you can talk about yourself, but you also want to incorporate as many different aspects of content as well, within reason, right? You want to have kind of your pillars that you kind of come to. So do you want to maybe take a couple minutes on this? Just talk about, like, what is it you typically recommend people talk about when they're doing more of the relationship building, long-term type social media content?
Yeah. So this is a big, when it comes to content, just in general. And I preach it all the time. I believe the biggest mistake that most professionals make is they think when they go on social media and they're starting to create video content, it has to be about business. But you need to stop and sit back and think to yourself, why are people going to Facebook? Why are they going to Instagram? Why are they going to these pages? Not to go search for homes, not to go see what hats are, not to go see what awards you won. They're going there to socialize, to interact. They want to see what you're doing with your life. And so it's not just me, but a lot of people preach 80-20 content principle, meaning 80% authentic personal content, stuff that's non-related to business, and 20% business. And so if you just focus on documenting your life, if you struggle with content creation, if you're not creative, if you don't have hobbies that you want to share, which are all ideas, by the way, just document your life. Gary Vee says it. Document, don't create. Just turn the camera on your life more often, share that more often. You're letting people into your life, which allows them to get to know you and like you and trust you and have relatability to you. And that is what draws people to your brand and creates a larger engagement, more engagement, and a larger SOI, which creates more opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if you look at, so this is actually kind of some statistics from Facebook in particular. They surveyed people and just asked them, why do you use Facebook? What are you going on there to find? And obviously the number one thing was to keep contact with friends and family. Like 88% of people said that, almost everybody. And so, just think about that for what you're saying, Jeff. I mean, obviously, if people are going on there to stay in touch with their friends and family, they're not necessarily, doesn't mean they don't want to hear about their friends and family's businesses. Like, that is part of that relationship, but you just need to mirror what you talk about with friends and family, right? So whatever it is that you would chit chat about, or whatever you get excited about to talk about with a cousin or a friend or whoever, like, that's what you can be doing, social media with, right? Like, that's what you can be creating content around. So, that was number one. And look at the rest, right? To get entertainment, right? So if you want to be entertaining, if that is your personality, you've got a great option. One of my favorites is to get news, right? 23% of people aren't here to see what's going on in the news. And that could be national news, local news, business related news. I mean, that's a topic, I'm not as much of the entertainer type. So I love talking to people about, current events and that sort of stuff, right? So news can be great. And then it comes to brands and companies at just 17%, right? So I think those three things above that point are stuff that you definitely need to keep in mind when it comes to your content. So
the one thing I'll say, Nick, real quick about business content is that if, again, maybe they're not turned off by that, but more times than not, when somebody is vomiting the same thing over and over again and you didn't ask for it, specifically, I'll give you two topics that can tend to be kind of invasive, which are religion and politics. Like, when you're cramming it down my throat, you're turning me off. And business content can have the same principle. If you're cramming it down their throat, you're going to turn your audience off and they're going to unfollow you, which defeats the purpose of being on social media in the first place. So those are the things you got to think about when you're coming up with content. What does my audience, what do they want to see? Why are they here? And that's how you create or document your life.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, you gotta work with the expectations that people have. I mean, honestly, it's like you're just building relationships. I think if we just focused on who do we already have relationships with and how do we further push those relationships, that's it, right? And so you wouldn't obviously talk just about business, and I think that hopefully gives people some ideas. But here's a couple further ideas in terms of what can you talk about. What does fit into this sort of 80-20 principle. Some of my favorites, I mean, I think how-to content, but not just about business. So if you have, like, one of my favorite things I see people do, especially on YouTube, because YouTube is a very search-heavy platform. People are literally searching how to, and then all kinds of different things. I mean, YouTube is where people learn all kinds of skills. So make how-to videos, but make them about hobbies, right? So teach people things about the stuff you know and love and have a passion about outside of your core business, right? It's a great way to build relationships, is to educate people on something that they're also passionate about, engage with them. It's also a great way, if it's something you're passionate about, you're going to learn from them too, right? So it's a great way to start a conversation in my mind. And then another one that I think is a good one to think about is, it's called bucket list posts. I think that might come from Neil Patel, that term. But basically talk about the experiences that people really want to have, right? So if you think about, what are those bucket list items that you have that I'm sure lots of other people have, and talking about those particular topics. I mean, again, this is a perfect example of document, don't create. Whenever you do a bucket list item, you go to that really expensive restaurant that you've wanted to go to for years, or you go on that trip that you've been planning for months, whatever it is, document that, and that makes great content, right? So I think it's very easy to overthink, but if you just really start thinking about, several of the examples on the screen here are really more examples of document what's already happening, as opposed to trying to get super creative and come up with ideas that you're going to have to, workshop and develop and that are going to go viral, as you said. I think if your goal is ever to go viral, you're kind of missing the point with this stuff.
Well, and think about what it is that are your passions. Is your passion cooking? Is your passion crocheting? What are your hobbies? Is it travel? Is it exercise? Is it fitness? What is it? Like, everybody has hobbies. Everybody does things in their free time. If you document around that, you're going to find there's a lot of people out there that have the same similarities and the same passions that you do. And that's where you create synergies and then end up creating raving fans who will be your biggest referral partners that you will ever find.
Absolutely. So I think this is kind of an additional point on that, is that when you're putting this stuff out there, you really want to encourage engagement, because I think this is one of the biggest missed opportunities, even with the people that are putting out videos on a regular basis, is number one, when you're making the content, ask people to engage with it. You don't, most of your content is not going to have a call to action that's business related, because again, it's not business content. So, you're not going to make a video about, let's say crocheting is one of your examples, and then say, hey, by the way, I need to buy or sell a house, give me a call. You could do that, but it's going to seem pretty inauthentic, right? So when you do those videos where you're not necessarily promoting business, still encourage engagement. This is your chance to ask for people to start conversations. I always think of video as, yes, it's initially one-sided, but it really should turn into a two-way conversation. One of the reasons that we like doing stuff like, webinars where people can engage with us, or doing live video where people can ask questions, you can respond to it, but even pre-recorded, encourage the comments, encourage them to, comment on the video, respond to a specific question. So if you have an exact question in the video, they can respond in the comments. And then whenever they do comment, make sure you respond to that comment as quickly as you can, because I think that's where the leads come from, right? Video itself is not a, it wouldn't be my number one choice for lead gen. I think it's more of a relationship tool, but it can generate leads if you get people to start conversations with you. So, I think it's funny that we spend so much time and so much money trying to start these conversations with strangers, and then people from our sphere are commenting on our content and we're not even responding to them for hours or days, or in some cases ever. And so I think one of the things, kind of an additional tip there, is when you respond to their comments, it's okay just to say kind of thanks for the comment, but ask another question, because if you can get a back and forth going, you're going to get two benefits. Number one, that conversation can continue to the point where now all of a sudden you're scheduling a coffee to catch up with that person and you're actually turning it into a potential transaction. But even if that doesn't happen, these social platforms, they love comments, right? I mean, Facebook in particular is all about comments. It's all about long comments, meaningful comments, something that's more than just a couple words. And so if you can get a conversation started below one of your posts, Facebook's going to see that as, this must be a really engaging video. I'm going to show it to more people. So I think from both of those standpoints, getting that engagement's kind of really crucial.
Remember, folks, that you're playing an algorithm. And again, the point of being on social media is to increase engagement. And if you want to get seen more often, you want to be on people's feeds, higher up in their feeds and on their feeds more consistently, the algorithm, not a human being, it's a computer behind the scenes that's watching these little metrics. And if your posts get a lot of engagement, the computer, aka algorithm, says, they must like Nick's content. So I'm going to continue to put Nick's content in front of his audience. And if this audience likes it, I bet other audiences like it. And all of a sudden he's showing up more often. And that's the whole point of the game. And
right.
Nick, before you address a couple of questions, one person asked about, business pages versus personal pages. And first of all, we don't want to get too deep because that's not what this is about, but business pages, obviously, first of all, it's on Facebook. We all know this, but they have a really strong purpose, which is running ads, because you can only do that from business pages. Your
right.
business content, although how you can get creative with that content. Using showing charitable contributions or showing culture or showing events or those kind of things. I think that's very important on business pages. Then, of course, your personal page should be 95% personal. I don't know what you have to say about that, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it all depends on the person and the business. And, some of it, the way I look at a business page is your business page needs to be a representation of the way you handle your business, So if your business is very much fluid in terms of being, super personable with your clients and it's all about the relationship and stuff, then you can have, as much personalized content as you want there. If it's more business kind of polished, then you'd probably want to keep it a little bit more business focused. But you do have to be careful about sharing business content on your personal profile, because you can technically get in trouble from that. So, I think technically the Facebook terms say that you're really not supposed to do anything remotely promotional for a business on a personal account. And obviously people don't adhere to that. But if you get too aggressive, if you're posting, mostly business related stuff on a personal profile, I have seen people get, temporarily or even permanently banned from that account. So yeah, you gotta definitely be a little bit careful with that in terms of the rules as well.
Which leads to another question about how sharing your name or your tag or your logo, even on fun videos. And that Michelle Peterson asked that question. And that is where you can get a little bit creative, Michelle. Like, so for example, Nick mentioned, crocheting, right? You have a video that's completely not related to your business. The way that I like to wear branded gear, I wear a hat, I wear a shirt. There's certain ways where you subliminally remind you without talking about it. And if you play that game consistently, you don't have to talk about real estate. You don't have to talk about mortgages. You don't have to talk about title, because people just they get to know you and your brand. Don't forget, what you're wearing is also a part of your brand. And it's just subliminally reminding them that, they're with XYZ real estate company. And they just remember because you're always wearing that gear. That's one good way to do it, in my opinion. Yeah,
it's a great example. So one other thing I wanted to mention before we talk about more of the personalized content would be, so if you're having trouble coming up with, what can I do that's going to get a lot of engagement in video content, like a giveaway is a really easy one that I think most people should be comfortable doing. It doesn't require you to be all that vulnerable to give something away on your business page. And it's also the kind of video that tends to perform very well because it gets a lot of engagement. So I do want to just mention, since we brought it up, that there are some rules on Facebook and really any platforms about what you can or can't ask people to do. So you cannot ask them to tag a friend. You cannot ask them to share the video to their timeline either, but you can ask them to comment on the video post to enter or take other actions, right? Like send a message or text or something like that. So we see a lot of those kinds of posts where people are asking for all of those things, tag a friend, share the post, yada, yada. Do they always get in trouble? No, of course not, because, you don't always get caught for these things, but those are technically violating the terms of service, and you want to make sure you're in alignment with that stuff as much as possible. But you can get them to comment. And again, if you're strategic about this, I think comments are one of the best things you can get anyway, because it starts a conversation with the person, and it turns that relationship, which was maybe a parasocial relationship, maybe one-sided, they'd been following you for a while, into a two-sided relationship, right? Because they comment, you start a conversation, now you're building a relationship with a new person. So that's another easy idea on things you can do with your videos.
Yeah, Nick, one more question that they're going back to the business page. What percentage of content should be business related? And I think the answer is 100%. First, this page is not getting viewed. It's not showing up in feeds. That's the way Facebook has the algorithm designed, because they want you to pay to play. So the reason why you have business content play now, it's going to get seen by a handful of people. But there's really no reason to be sharing personal content to a business page, because your business page is really where you gain that credibility. It's where you share that content. And then occasionally you do target, you do run ads. And that's really the whole point of a business page. And I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you got to experiment, and the truth is, we talk about these kind of averages, and business pages don't get a lot of reach and that kind of stuff, but it really depends on the person in the business. Some people's business pages are so engaged that they'd probably be better off posting almost everything there. So I do think, though, one of the things I always remind people with business pages is that a business page follower had to opt in, right? So they have to like your page or follow your page to see your content. So that does mean something, right? Just like signing up for an email list, it kind of gives you permission to be that much more promotional. So from that standpoint, I do think obviously business page is more of the business or all, business content. And it is okay for it to be pretty much business because people chose to follow it, right? So if they didn't want to see that kind of stuff, they wouldn't have followed your page. They would have just remained your friend on Facebook, right? Okay, so we're going to shift to the more personalized video messages, but I want to make sure we got this slide in here at some point. So for those of you that haven't been on one of these webinars the past few weeks, we Jeff and I and a couple other people got together to create a series of. Well, he started with 14. I think we got like almost 25 total or something. We got to start putting them out. But video tips. So basically, short, 1 to 3 minute long videos that you get by email every single day for 2 weeks that are just little actionable tips that you can use to start making videos in your business. So, things like how to correctly go live on social media, what to do, where to look, so when you're making a selfie video or something like that, where to look so it makes it look as natural as possible, how to get more comfortable and confident on camera, just all kinds of stuff. So if you're the kind of person that, obviously if you're here, you're trying to learn what you can about video communication. If you'd like to continue to develop those skills, we do have 2 ways to get signed up on that list. If you're on those lists, you'll also receive more information about the Business Video School program, which we now have 2 national classes that have been launched. So to sign up for it, what you need to do is send a text message to the phone number, which would just be 44222. So not a full phone number, just 5 numbers. And then the body of the text that you send should just say learn video without a space. So it's just one word, LEARNVIDEO, no quotes, don't include the word text, don't include your name or anything like that. If you send just learn video to 44222, it'll respond, ask you for an email. You can sign up that way. Or if you'd rather go directly to a website, you go to bit.ly/freevidtips. We can probably copy and paste that in the chat, I think. And you can go there to sign up. So again, you'll get at least 14 days worth of free video tips and advice. And then we have a bunch more that'll be trickling out over the coming weeks. All right, so let's get into the talking.
If you have a signature in your text, you need to remove it. You will get an error if you do that. So I tell you what, folks, I've had a lot of people messaging me over the last few weeks saying these video tips are amazing. Where can I find them? Because they see them on social, but they can't keep up with it or they miss a post. This is the best way to get them consistently. So yeah, definitely, it's definitely sign up.
Cool. All right, so I've got several ways for you here that we're going to run through that you can send personalized messages. So we talked earlier in the training about sending stuff that's really meant for just one person. And I think this, in a lot of ways, is a bigger opportunity right now than your typical social media videos, because for some strange reason, it's almost like we're seeing more video on social than we are sent personally. And I think it just means so much to get a video message from someone. So my example of this, actually, I think one of our viewers right now sent me a video message a couple of days ago. I distinctly remember it because it stands out like that. But my example is that I did some outreach about a year ago to brokers here in the St. Louis area. And what I did is I sent a video message one at a time, so there's some work involved, right? I turned on my webcam, I set up my little sign with their name written on it, kind of like waved, all that kind of stuff at the beginning of the video. And I sent this personalized message to a bunch of different brokers, completely cold, right? So think about cold emails to managing brokers that are managing 100, 200 people. They usually do not respond to that stuff. And I had people telling me it was like the best cold email message they'd ever gotten, right? I mean, think about that. Just because it was a video. I didn't say anything that was any better than other cold emails, but it stands out. I mean, this is something very, very few people are doing. And once it becomes normal, once somebody's gotten video messages from a certain number of businesses, number one, it's not going to be as neat anymore. So you're not going to get that benefit of just being one of the first people to do it and therefore looking really cool. And then second, they're going to start to expect it. So as people like me and Jeff are sending all these personalized video messages, other people are going to start to expect to receive communication that way because they like it, right? It really, really resonates with them. So the ways you can do that, the first we're going to talk about is texting, all right? So text messaging is still evolving, and actually kind of behind the scenes, there's a new standard for text message that's slowly being implemented. I don't think it's kind of universal yet, so it doesn't always work, but very soon, from what I've heard from a couple guys that are working on a startup that are in this space, we should be able to send all the same things we send through a messenger app through our text messaging, right? So longer video posts, sending money, like all those kinds of things should be available by text soon. Right now, though, not all the companies have implemented this standard yet. So you kind of have a lot more limited things that you can accomplish here. So the first thing is, if you're going to text someone a video, it has to be super tiny. If it's small enough file, it can get through and they can watch it, but it's usually going to be really low quality. But if you do want to do it, I just wanted to make sure we mention this. You would just record, through your phone. That's going to be fine, obviously. And then you need to get the video really small, because literally like 1 megabyte is the biggest these can be. So you want to think super short, probably 15 seconds or less. And then you're going to want to use one of these apps you see on the screen here to compress the video so that it's very, very small. And if it's small enough, you're going to be able to get it through by text message. But it's probably a good thing to start doing because, again, it stands out to people. So even if it's a really small kind of grainy video, but they're getting a video text from one of the first people that's ever sent them one, that's going to resonate with them, right? So that's one way you can do it. And then over time, I think that's going to become much, much easier for us. The more kind of high-tech version of this currently would be to send the video through a messenger app, okay? So there's a lot of different messenger apps out there at this point. A lot of them work very similarly. So we're gonna look at Facebook and Instagram on the screen here, but Snapchat, LinkedIn Messenger, obviously there's a whole bunch of them. Jeff, does TikTok have like video messaging yet?
I don't think video messaging. There is messaging within TikTok, just like Facebook Messenger, but it's not nearly as advanced.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're still a startup, right? So they're still building in new features, but all of this, all these other platforms, they do have this available. So if you're going to send a message, and I think Facebook Messenger is probably the most obvious one, right? Because most of your sphere you're probably connected to on Facebook. So if you want to send somebody a message, how do you do it? Well, what you're going to do is you go into the Messenger feature, and on Facebook, it's actually its own app at this point. So it's just literally called Messenger. And you want to go in and you select the contact that you want to message. So just start a message like you would normally send them a text, message through Messenger or through Instagram or whatever it is. And then what you want to do is you want to look for the camera icon. So we have that on the screen there, right next to number 4 there. That's the camera icon. They don't all look exactly like that. But typically you're going to see something along those lines, or you want to click on a button that says send video message. And then when you open the camera, generally the cameras within these messengers, the way you record a video, because this isn't 100% intuitive, is that you hold down that white button. So typically the white button means take a picture, but in a lot of these apps, when you hold it down, it will start recording a video for as long as you hold it, okay? And then the other thing to remember is that within these messenger apps, a lot of them, they're really built for short videos. So a lot of times it's 15 to 20 seconds, and it's really not going to let you record past that length. So you're going to want to send pretty short messages through most of these. And then it's going to show you a little preview, and then you hit the send button and you're able to send that over. So, you know, where is that particularly useful? I mean, obviously this is great for birthdays. So if somebody just, you know, is their birthday's coming up, or it's today, shoot them over a quick little birthday message. You don't have to, I mean, some people like wear a little birthday hat and all that kind of stuff. That's taking it to the next level. That would be really cool. But it's really simple, right? Honestly, sending a 15-second birthday message is probably, you know, video message is probably quicker than typing it out on their wall, right? I mean, or it's basically the same amount of time. But what are they going to remember? They're going to remember the video message, right? I can't tell you specifically who commented happy birthday on my wall last year, but I could probably tell you if somebody sent me a video message about it. Right?
Yeah, you probably get if even one. And somebody even mentioned, would you send the birthday message private or post directly? You know, I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong. Personally, I texted them, so I made it very personal. However, as I sat here and was just deciphering what you asked, I'm thinking to myself, if you actually created a video, posted it to their Facebook feed, you're actually going to get way more visibility by other people, which actually could be very beneficial to just the overall branding. So right. I can't say one's right or wrong, but you just made a compelling, I just made a compelling argument to why maybe posting directly to their Facebook feeds isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you're sending it to. I think it's very easy for us to get caught up thinking about ourselves, and that's obviously who comes to mind the easiest for each of us. But what you want to be thinking about is who's receiving this message, right? Because again, when you get into personalized messages, when you're sending a message to just one individual person, you know, you know who they are and you know what their personality is. And so the answer, in my opinion, to that question would be, it's going to depend on, would that make that person uncomfortable? That would be the only kind of qualifier I would consider, right? So obviously sending it personally, that's probably fine, or directly is probably fine for everybody. But the other version, posting on their wall, there are some people that are going to love that, right? The ones that get really jacked up about their birthday and they love getting all, you know, the people that say it's my birthday month. I don't know if you know any of those, but you know, when they're just like, oh my God, it's me, it's my birthday, it's all month, like definitely post that on their wall and be as flamboyant and over the top as you possibly can, because they'll love the attention. And then if they're a more private person that isn't a big, you know, celebrator of birthdays, so to speak, I would send it, you know, directly to them. But that would be the only thing to kind of think about there. But otherwise, I think, yeah, your point, Jeff's great, which is, yeah, I mean, if you post it on their wall, you're going to get a whole bunch of additional engagement and excitement from their friends, right? So that's beneficial to you. And if they're into it, they're going to love that too, which I think would be really cool. Okay, so let's talk about the next version of sending a video to a person directly, and that would be through email. And I will say this, with email, it can go both ways, right? You can send a one-off message to a single person, or you can send a bulk message to an entire list. I think both are great ideas. I think putting video into email is a no-brainer. You should be using this as much as you can. There are 3 ways you can do it. Number 1 is, again, just like text, you can make the video really small. So if it's under about 20, or sometimes it's 25 megabytes, you can send it directly through video. You can actually attach it to the video or to that email in that case. That's great, but that is pretty limited. Most videos are going to be bigger than 25 megabytes. So the second thing, and I'll show you a quick demo of this in just a second, is you can use a video email platform like BombBomb, and that's the one that we use. And like I said, I'll give you a quick demo in a minute. And then the third is kind of the hybrid in a sense, or it's kind of you get kind of the BombBomb effect, but you get to do it for free. And that would be this example, which is you take a image, right? So my example here is you can go on a platform like Canva. They actually have templates there. You just grab a template and you kind of throw some text and image into it. You create an image that represents the video. So it's got a summary of it, or it's got like kind of a tease for what's actually in the video. You put that image into your email, and then you link that image to the video post somewhere else. And so this would be probably too much work if it's a one-to-one message. I wouldn't do this like a dozen different times with a dozen different people. But if you have a mass email, if you're going to send an email to your whole database, this can be a great way to do it. still makes it a lot more likely they're going to click on that image to watch the video. But I'm going to show you BombBomb next, which I would actually highly recommend versus this approach.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
73,593 emails in your inbox. Could you clean that out for me, please?
Oh, yeah. That's nothing, man. This is one of my lower accounts.
Oh, that gives me the heebie-jeebies, man.
I know there's two schools, right? There's the I need to be at inbox 0 camp, and then there's the my inbox is searchable, so it doesn't matter camp, and that's the one I fall into.
That's funny.
Ever since you could just search and find pretty much anything you need as long as it has the words in it, like, yeah, that's I should have thought about that. We probably should have covered that up in case I'm anybody uncomfortable here. So I want to show an example of how to do this on BombBomb real quick. So let me go ahead and switch my screen over to this other tab.
And while you're doing that, I think a lot of you know that I'm a massive proponent of BombBomb. We use it in our business, and we use it. I've got employees and LOs who probably use BombBomb and send video messages more than they actually type emails anymore. And we have won clients over as a result of it, where the client has said, I'm going with you because of your video message. It helped me explain it. It made me understand it. I didn't have to read 3 paragraphs. And you can do screen sharing. It is such a powerful tool. And we believe in it so much. I don't get paid by BombBomb. I just believe in it because we love the service so much. It is such an awesome tool in your business.
Yeah, no, it's very, very helpful. So I just wanted to show you, this is the BombBomb plugin within Gmail. If you're sending messages directly to an individual, this is a very useful tool. So if you pull up the email and you're going to type it, there's going to be this little bomb icon over here. So what you do is you hover over that and you go ahead and, oh, I don't know what it opened here. Sorry, I don't know if it's, oh yeah, it's messing me up because I'm doing a screen share. I think I should do, let me go back. I'm going to share my whole desktop, I think. Jeff, are you seeing that BombBomb video example?
Yeah, I see a little. Yeah, I saw the red dot. It is a problem. We've tried to do this when you're trying, because you're using your video on your computer and you're also, there you go.
Well, so I had that part figured out already. I have 2 cameras. But yeah, the other, so anyway, so this is what pops up. So when you click on that icon, this will pop up, right? And what's really cool here is, like, literally you just come over, you hit this little red button, and it's going to give you a countdown. And then you look at the camera and you wave at it and you say, hey, happy birthday, whatever it is you're saying. And then you hit the stop button, and then you click on save. And let's see what happens here with the share. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. I got to keep switching back and forth between these 2 screens.
Which, by the way, did you see that new little feature that BombBomb's added now? They've now added a call to action, so you can put a headline there that says, go check out my website, or for free video tips, and then it takes them straight to the website. It's a cool little feature.
Awesome.
For BombBomb.
Yeah. Very cool. I mean, that's definitely useful, right? So here's we got this little preview which starts playing. One of the cool things about BombBomb is the first 3 seconds of the video play as a little preview over and over again in your email, and that's it. So there it is. It's in the email now, and what we do is we would just literally type their contact information in, add the subject, type out the body of the email, and go ahead and send it on over. I think that's super cool. I think that's like one of the easiest forms of video communication that we've ever used, and I would highly recommend it. There is one thing that we do kind of give people as a tip. I'm getting some indicators from behind the scenes here to remind you that you can use a whiteboard. Let me see that real quick. So if you take a whiteboard and you write their name on the whiteboard and then you wave at the camera, this is a tip I think BombBomb gives directly. They'll see that in the preview, right? So now that if you see like happy birthday Joe and you're waving, they're gonna be like, oh my God, this is literally a personalized message for my birthday. They're definitely gonna click on it and watch it in that case, right? So that one's kind of a no-brainer opportunity. So that's how you use BombBomb. So that's quick demo there. Let me switch one more time. Got a lot of share switches this time. So go back to our slides.
If you guys don't look at Nick as the technology wizard, I mean, all these various things he's doing make my head spin sometimes.
All right, cool. So one last thing that I wanted to show before we kind of got wrapped up here is one other way that you can stay in front of your sphere that I think is really cool and really powerful are Facebook ads. And actually, this probably goes for other platforms as well. We just happen to do a lot more on Facebook. But if you look at the opportunities on Facebook, you can actually target your database with a Facebook ad. So a lot of times we think about Facebook ads as a way to get in front of totally new people, total strangers. But I think that this is actually one of the most powerful things you can probably ever do, right? So if you take your database, your sphere, basically name, phone number, email, whatever it is you have contact information wise, and you upload that into the Facebook ad platform, you will be able to target ads at everybody who's in your sphere. So again, remember that familiarity principle, right? This is all just about showing up in front of these people over and over and over again so that they remember you when they're ready to buy or sell, or excuse me, they remember you when they have a referral opportunity. Those are the two big things, right? So the key here is just staying in front of them. So I think Facebook ads are huge. So you can upload your database. That's one cool thing you can do. You can target people who have engaged with your page. So if they've ever liked a post, and it's like within the past 6 months or year, you can set the amount of time. But if they've liked post, if they've engaged with any of your posts, if they have viewed your videos, so people have seen your previous videos, you can put them into a list and you can target them. So I really encourage you, if you're a big SOI focused person, if you're marketing a lot to your sphere, definitely look into paid Facebook ads as a way to add on to what you're currently doing. And these are also they're very affordable. I mean, the costs right now are down significantly because there's a lot less advertisers using Facebook because of the pandemic. So this is a great time to get in and experiment. And I think I've heard some of these ads are a third cheaper, 30% off right now, just because of the reduced demand. So get out there, give it a try. If you have a couple thousand people in your sphere and you want to stay in front of them 5 or 10 times a month, you're talking $100. You spend $100 a month to target these people. They're each going to see you 3 to 5 to 10 different times throughout the month. I mean, that's going to have a big impact, right? I mean, that kind of awareness is really powerful. So I would highly recommend that. And then the way you do it is really, it's simple if you're comfortable with technology, obviously. So you go into the back end of Facebook and the ads manager. You go into audiences, you create an audience, and you do what's called a custom audience. And then you select customer list, and then you just upload it. So if you have a CRM where you can export all of your contacts, you go into this back end, click a couple buttons, upload it into Facebook, and now you have this custom audience that you can consistently stay in front of in a way that requires kind of very little effort on your part. So it's almost a set it and forget it type of scenario. So highly, highly recommend you consider Facebook ads. Cool. All right. So I think we got done in time. Yeah, looks like we're good. We got a few minutes left. So I did want to say, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and throw them in the chat. We do have a couple minutes left. And I did want to take a minute, if it's cool, just to talk a little bit about the Business Video School program, because we have been getting quite a few questions about it. So we did just start a second national level class. It began yesterday, and we have had a couple people, I know Jeff, you in particular, had a few people reach out asking if they could still join that class, even though technically it did get started. So might be worth addressing that in case anybody else is wondering. So we do have, I think, maybe 3 or 4 spots left. It isn't that many. And so if you are somebody who's I could use more help with this, I'm making videos, but I want to get better, or I haven't started making videos. I want to get started. I want to start trying this. We can probably still get you into that class, but the thing is, we do not have another one open for a while. So we've also started a lot of conversations with brokerages that want to have their own version of this program, and that's where a lot of our attention's going right now. So if you do want to get in, and we're going to have another one that opens in probably a month or so, but we do have the first training recorded from yesterday. So if you do want to join now and watch the replay of that training and then get into the cycle with everybody else, we can do that. So for those of you that haven't heard what this is before, I just wanted to go over it real quick.
For Nick, let me say something too. Yeah, I had 2 real estate professionals from all over the country email me. One was last night, one was this morning, and said, "Is it too late to get in?" And the answer, I actually put them on to you guys, and you guys said, "No, get in. They're recorded, so let's go." And you got them in. So again, if anybody's looking to get in, there are only a few spots. Amazing response to this.
Yeah, it looks like we got at least one of our students mentioning how she feels about it. So I appreciate that, Charla. So yeah, for those of you that do want to know a little bit more, I mean, basically this is a very hands-on training process. We do a weekly 1.5-hour streamed training, which means that we're watching a training video through a watch party with your fellow students. So our philosophy about this is that video is a complex set of skills to learn. I mean, I've been doing video for over 3 years. Jeff's over 4 years. I mean, there are people out here who've been doing this for a while. And then there's a lot of people that are just getting started and they're trying to imitate the people that have been out here doing this for years. And, you know, that's okay, but you got to start from the beginning. It's easy to feel like you want to skip steps, and that's usually a bad thing to do. So we start at the very beginning. We start with just the very, very beginnings of the process, you know, how to shoot a video with a phone, how to get comfortable on camera, how to do some really basic editing, what kinds of equipment to buy, et cetera, et cetera. We go over it for an hour and a half. We do exercises. So we literally have exercises we're doing throughout the trainings. And then what's cool too is that we also have homework assignments that are you creating content you could use in your business. You don't have to post the videos that you create in the school, but if you want to, you're going to come out of the school with probably at least 7 to 10 pieces of content that are ready to go for your business, right? So if you've been really dragging your feet to try this stuff, this is a great way to do it and to be held accountable. And then we also have a private Facebook group where everything is managed. And so you get to know your fellow students. You get to see their examples of their homework. You get to get feedback from other people. You develop actual relationships. I mean, it's pretty cool. People are getting to know each other really well because when you talk to people through video, it's a much better form of communication, right? So it's also a really cool way to network. So I wanted to show you, this is a couple quotes from a few of our students. So we had a group that started 3 weeks ago. And so we wanted to give you some feedback from people that have literally been in this for just a few weeks now, kind of what they are thinking. So one of the things I think that was really cool about what Becky said about working with us so far is that, you know, she's obviously experiencing lots of online training right now. There's a lot of this stuff out there. And we really feel like one of the things we focus on doing is getting people to take action, right? So getting them to actually start making video and start doing things right away. And that's what she's finding that she's doing. And so, you know, that's awesome because we're really excited to have people, you know, taking on a challenge that in a lot of cases is something a lot of our students have been thinking about doing for years, right? We've all been thinking about, hey, we need to start doing this video thing. We got to do more of this. So to have people getting started on that is really cool. And then obviously this is something that you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. And I think it's important to acknowledge it. You know, when you're going through a process like this, especially if you're working with us, you know, you are going to be uncomfortable at some times, right? Like you're going to be doing things that you've probably been putting off too long. You're going to be taking on challenges that you maybe didn't realize you were going to face, but you are going to get comfortable with it over time. So I know that was Jeff, you were in that call the other day when we had somebody asking about, you know, does this get easier, right? Like, will I get more comfortable as I do this? And that's definitely a yes, but the first few videos are always going to be challenging. Even the 50th or 100th video can still be challenging, but when you're doing it with your peers and you're having fun and you're in an environment where everybody's kind of learning at the same pace and facing the same challenges, it definitely makes it a much, much better process. It's a lot more fun, and I think people are getting through it a lot easier. So that's just a couple examples, and I think, like I said, I think I also saw Charla's comment in the chat, so if you can consider that 3 examples at this point. But anyway, so if you are, you know, curious about this and you want to learn more about the school and you want to kind of figure out if this is something you should sign up for, you can go to bizvideoschool.com. However, if you're somebody that goes, hey, you know, I really want to get in and I want to get started right away, like I said, we can still get a few of you into the class that started yesterday. You would just watch the replay of the first training, and then you would be able to start taking the class on Wednesdays with your fellow students. Every class is recorded, so you can always watch the replays if you do miss them, but you would be able to get started with us now. If you just want to go check it out for the future, and maybe you're not worried about getting started anytime soon, by all means, you can go check it out and you can get signed up for those video tips. That would be a really good place to start if you're still not really sure that you need the help that we could provide you. But if you are ready and you feel like, hey, I want to grab one of those last spots in the class that started yesterday, I think we were at 46 or 47 students the last I checked, and we really try to keep these around 50 or a little bit under 50. So I think we can squeeze in just a couple more that we can get you on. So yeah, that's what we got. I'm going to check the chat real quick.
So I was going to say, let's address a few questions. A couple of people asked about AI or automation systems. Somebody specifically asked about Twilio. Really, you need to go to those platforms to confirm if they have integrated it. automation systems, most CRMs do allow or have an add-on, or it's included to where you can shoot video, send video through text or email. We actually did a demo this morning on a platform called Bonzo, and it was super intensive and had all of those features, and it had the 3-second loop, which was really cool. So you just want to check with those companies. There's a ton of them out there, so it's hard to say which ones do and which ones don't. Let's see what else we've got here. A bunch of people have asked for the recording. As always, these are always live on Facebook in the Lab Code Agents group, so you can always go find them there. Posted into YouTube on the Lab Code Agents YouTube channel. And then Nick, I think you guys are working on potentially working on something to send these out at some point as well. So that hopefully will come here in the near future, if not ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, we're working, we're still trying to decide how we want to handle sharing the slides, but I do think we're going to make the slides available. So if you want those, the way to get them is to be on that email list, because we're going to basically be sending everything to that video tips list. So you would get the slides, you'd get a link to the replays at some point. And like, honestly, I mean, these replays are all on Lab Code Agents. So they're on the YouTube channel. They're on the Facebook page. I think that's really the easiest place to get the replay of the webinar. But if you do want to get the slides at some point, you can do so by registering on that email list from earlier. So I'll just put that back in the chat real quick. So it's text.
And somebody asked, Linda Wells asked, do you know if your customers have how do you know, I guess, if your customers have a Facebook account? There's a couple things you can do. So when you're running targeted ads, of course, you can target obviously certain keywords, you can target interests, you can target areas. You can also upload lists to Facebook and target as well. And then you can also do retargeting, which retargeting is basically re-engaging or re-showing your content to the people who engage your stuff. So there's a variety of ways to do that. There's a lot of experts out there. So if you need some learning on that, obviously we're always teaching it in Lab Code Agents. You could tons and tons of content on that to learn more about that, but that's super intensive.
Cool.
Let's see what else we got. Any promo code for the attendees today? Nick, I don't know if you do or not.
Nope. I mean, 97 is kind of that was the price.
That's the Lab Code Agents price, isn't it?
Yeah, we cut it down to 97 when we first kind of started promoting it here about a month ago. I'm not sure that we're going to raise it again anytime soon, because I do feel that that's, it's a price we've been able to make work, obviously, and it's been able, gives a lot of people access to it. But yeah, we're not going to be able to do any promotions below 97. If anything, it'll go up again, and then we'll be able to do promotions at that point.
Right. Linda asked another follow-up question. If you don't, so here's my suggestion, and I tell this to agents all the time. My opinion is I don't understand why when people do like a buyer's agreement or a listing agreement, if I'm you, I'm incorporating a page into those agreements when you're first meeting with your customers, asking them for their Facebook handle, asking them for their Instagram handle, asking them for their YouTube channel. I would friend your people right up front, because it allows you to get that information and become friends with them. B, it gives them, if you're creating content, especially authentic content, it gives your customer a way to go kind of see you and remember you, and then know, like, and trust you even more than they already do, because they're seeing the back end. That's just something, if I was a real estate agent, that's something I would incorporate into every single transaction with every single customer. That would be one of the first things I did when I met my customers.
That's a great point.
One more time, Nick, on the video tips, text, what's the text code? 44222.
Well, so you text learn video, just one word, no space. So learn video to the phone number 44222, and that'll get you on that list. There you go.
I think that's about it. Linda, what about a farm area? Yes, you can target areas. You can target, you can target geographical areas through Facebook. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that's all we got, Nick. And I think we're at an hour, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys for being on. If you have any questions for us, as always, obviously text and get the video tips. That's a great way to continue to learn and get. It's ever evolving. To message either one of us. Both of us are available. You can message us through Facebook Messenger, and we're happy to help. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we appreciate you guys being on today. Nick, Once again, head trainer and founder of the Business Video School. Thank you once again. Always a fantastic presentation. And
Of course.
we'll be back next week for another webinar. So hope to see you guys there. Keep an eye out for those details.
Yeah, we're coming back same time next week, I think, right?
Thursday, correct.
Yep.
You got it.
See everybody then.
Awesome. Take care, man. See ya.
See ya.